You are listening to the 2 and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the 2 and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Tide.
Punters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted, it is! And it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
And we are part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. It's Travis Currah, Sheldon Jones. How's it going, man?
Going. That's it. It's going.
I mean,
it's just another day.
As a Rough Rider fan myself, it's always good to go to a Grey Cup and have no stress about your team. Looking on the bright side, my man.
Well, yeah, it does take the stress away the whole weekend. You just get to have fun. I know in 2013, I tried having fun, but at the same time, you're just freaking nervous the entire week, and you're like, holy, this actually could be happening. And of course, it was super cold in 2013 the whole week.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah, no, hopefully this time around we can just have some fun, and I guess everyone's just hoping for the Bombers not to win. I don't know.
I know your preferred deep fried food is fish, but I would like to mark a 300 locations of Popeyes Louisiana kitchen across Canada. Did you see this? 300 nuggets.
I did, and I've been thinking, like, the 6 of us in our group chat, do you think we could actually power through
100%.
an order? You think so?
100%.
Yeah, we probably could.
I think I'm good
we
for
had like
minimum.
WrestleMania or something.
I think I'm good for 75 minimum.
How big are Popeye's nuggets? I don't even know.
They're not that big. They're probably like, I don't know, a loony.
Because like I struggle with a 20-piece at McDonald's sometimes.
Well, so the Popeyes nuggets aren't as meaty as the McDonald's one, but I mean, they do have the quality breading on there, and man, it's the sauce. What's your dipping sauce? Oh,
it's just they have some good choices there. The blackened ranch is probably my favorite, but just the Buffalo or Louisiana hot sauce or whatever it is, I like that too.
I tell you what, if I'm gonna eat, 300 of them, I might as well switch sauces. The Bayou Buffalo, I'm down with that. Bold BQ, I'm down with that. Blackened Ranch, I'm down with that. Buttermilk Ranch, down with that. Wild Honey Mustard, down with that. Sweet Heat, down with that. I'm down with them all, man.
There's not many sauces that I don't like. Like blue cheese is probably the only one that's just disgusting. That's probably the only. I don't like blue cheese.
So I can do the blue cheese as long as I know it's blue cheese. Do you know when you go to you can tell it's the final week of the regular season and there's really not much to talk about. When you think it's ranch and you take a bite and it's blue cheese.
But blue cheese is just disgusting anyway. Like, I even tried the Safeway. They have chips. It's like hot wing and blue cheese. I bought it thinking it was hot wings and ranch. I didn't eat it, obviously. So I tried one chip and I threw the bag away. Like, it's disgusting. I'm not that picky of an eater. I tried
Brazilian Thai.
I tried fish at Popeyes, right? So, yeah, no, I'm definitely not Brazilian Thai.
This episode of 2 and Out brought to you by Connect First Credit Union.
Welcome to Super Typical Megabank. How can we disappoint you today?
Hi, I'd like to open an account.
May I pressure you into considering a pro-disadvantage, high-regret, impersonal, everyday inconvenient savings plan with added compounded confusion at no additional discount or apology? It's one of our top disappointers.
I feel so...
Disappointed?
Yeah.
Another unsatisfied customer. Next!
If your bank makes you feel like this, it's time you talk to us. Connect First Credit Union. Bank on a brighter future.
All right, we are into week 21 of the CFL season. The Edmonton Elks on bye, but They're making some signings. They're putting that core together for 2023, including running back Kevin Brown, extended through 2024. Dylan Mitchell, the receiver, extended. I believe he is through 2025. It's kind of a different feeling in Edmonton. I know it was a tough season. I know there were no home wins. But after Labor Day, when we're seeing these new players that are making an impact on the field, it gives you a good sense of what you're going to get going into next year. A full training camp, a full season with these guys. I think that'll be pretty exciting. Compare that to Saskatchewan, where there isn't really all that much feeling coming out of this year. Maybe it's the
well, there's lots of feelings.
That's true.
There's lots of feelings.
There is a lot of feelings. Let's I guess go over a little bit here. The team award winners have been announced. It is award season in the CFL. Of course, we're at the stage where the teams put forward their nominees, then we'll get to the division winners, then we'll get to the league winners going forward here. Some highlights from BC, Nathan Rourke, the MOP, and the MOC. And Sheldon, I actually think the MOC race this year is an intriguing one. Now, even if you just look at the West, so Nathan Rourke from BC, Cam Judge in Calgary, Kean Schaefer-Baker in Saskatchewan, and Nick Dembski in Winnipeg. With all due respect to Adam Konar, I don't think that he'll be winning from Edmonton, but from Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Calgary, and BC, I think you can make a case for all of them. Now, if Rourke plays, I don't know, 5 or 6 more games, absolutely, he's a lock. But the fact that he only played 9 and he's going to be playing this week, was it enough to put him in as MOC? And there are some solid Canadians here, and I think we're going to see some solid Canadians going forward. Even if you just mention, I think the front runners from the East, Curly Gittins and Tunde Adeleke, some great Canadian talent showing up in 2022, man.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the West, I think, is winning. No disrespect to Gittins or Adeleke, but I don't really think Schaefer-Baker, like, he had a good season, but I don't think it was as great as last year's. Like, just because he's a rookie last year, so it's a little bit more outstanding, maybe. So I don't even really. I think it's a 3-headed race between Dembski, Judge, and Rourke, and it's the O part of it. Like, a lot of times people confuse the O and the V in these awards, right? Like, outstanding instead of valuable. So, like, what the numbers that Rourke put up as a quarterback, as a Canadian, is freaking outstanding.
It is.
It's tough if the voters are gonna hold an injury against him. Like, I get it. It was a significant amount of time being missed, but I would have a hard time not giving it to Rourke. But Dembski and Judge, they had great seasons too. Dembski, like the second half, he's just been on fire.
But hold on Kean Schaefer-Baker, 935 yards this season. He could get 1,000 in Calgary. It could happen.
No, I guess so.
5 touchdowns. He's got a 14.8 average per catch, which beats his average from last year, actually.
Maybe I'm just trying not to be a Ryder homer. I don't know.
But I think he's been like sort of. They could have used him a lot more.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking. Yeah, like last year it just seemed like he was like that breakout guy, right? And then this year it just seemed like they would have him lining up as a running back and stuff. That was just kind of stupid, but that's just Jason Moss. So.
Yeah, and Dembski, especially after Labor Day, he missed a few games, and he's got 772 yards in 13 games, but 10 touchdowns. So
yeah,
and Cam Judge, the defensive player. I mean, if you're going to be starting every single week on that defense and that caliber of team, you're doing something right. He's 27 years old. He 77 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 2 forced fumbles. This is I think it's a very tough decision. That's going to happen. It's
probably the toughest one. Yeah, it's got to be the toughest one.
I think Zach is MOP. What is phenomenal here about Nathan Rourke is he's played in 9 games. He's got the highest completion percentage in the CFL among starters. Still top 10 in yards and second in touchdown passes.
He was outstanding. Like he's outstanding.
How good he was, man.
I guess. Well, and if you can actually, look decent and shake off the rust in this one quarter that they're going to give him this week, if he runs the tape, like I know it's based on the regular season, not the playoffs, but we could see an outstanding playoffs for him maybe.
The Riders had, we could see. You're right. Darnell Sankey was their MOP and most outstanding defensive player. The most outstanding defensive player from Calgary is Sean Lemon. Willie Jefferson in Winnipeg. It probably is going to be Lorenzo Malden from Ottawa against Lemon or Sankey. I think that... Hey, it's another tough choice. I'm not a voter. I don't really envy them. I do a little bit because they get to vote. But on one hand, these are tough choices to make.
Like I agree between Sankey and Lemon. That's kind of where it is the West. I hope Sankey can get it. Like I guess that is my Rider homer in me, but he definitely deserved to be their outstanding player nominee too. But Lemon had a very, very good year. So it's a tough choice for voters again.
Sankey, 115 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. So there's his stats for the season. That's where we are right now. At this point of the season, the last week before the playoffs, I mean, the Bombers are home to the Lions, 3.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 50.5. I do not envy the makers of the betting lines on weeks like this either. But I'd say the biggest news of the week is, and it's kind of like a preseason, we'll be seeing some players that are looking to, impress the coaches into this last season and carrying over into next year. And at the same time, it can be tough to evaluate a quarterback. He's not playing against ones and he's not playing with ones as well. But Nathan Rourke's going to be playing for the Lions, and we don't know how much. It might just be a quarter or so. And in the media interview, they weren't really sugarcoating it. He says he's not really down for doing any designed runs or things like that. He did say that, hey, he can move around the pocket and things like that. But that has to be the biggest news of the week, being able to watch Rourke again. And who knows if he gets 3 or 4 series in Winnipeg. Tammy making an appearance on Do It Out Here. Hey, is she a Nathan Rourke fan? She probably can't hear me. But but being able to see Rourke on the field, I think will be awesome. And will he pick up right where he left off in the middle of the season?
That's a lot of rust. It's going to be, because there's getting back into shape and then there's game shape, right? It's like, I know it's like wrestlers when they have 6 months off and they come back and they get into the ring. You got to shake off that ring rust, right? So he's gonna have to get that first hit. He's gonna have to get that first scramble around in the pocket and just get comfortable again, or else he's gonna be thinking about it the whole time, right? So, but if he is good to go and he looks good to go, then that 1-2 punch of him and Vernon Adams is gonna be awesome in the playoffs, I think.
This kind of makes the playoffs a lot more intriguing in the West, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you have 3 teams. Any 3 of those teams could win, the way I see it. Like,
I agree.
If they're healthy, it's anybody's race. It's not Winnipeg doesn't have this locked up like everyone thinks, but maybe they do. Who knows?
Those Calgary defensive lines, like the thing about Rourke is how fast he gets the ball off. So are they going to be able to get pressure on him? I mean, they're going to be trying it in Winnipeg as well, pinning their ears back and trying to make him test that foot and make him run during the playoffs. The Lions, of course, hosting the Stampeders November 6th, the Western semifinal. Farhan Lalji tweeting that on Tuesday, 10,000 tickets were sold for that game in one day.
That's
Tickets
awesome.
just went on sale to the general public today, the day that we're releasing this show. So there seems to be some excitement for playoff football in Vancouver. I don't know if you heard about this. The Seattle Seahawks, they sent out a message to their Canadian season ticket holders with the presale code to the BC Lions playoff game. So yeah, I hope we get a massive crowd in Vancouver for that Western semifinal. As for
and that's, sorry to interrupt you here, but I think that's huge. Like when an NFL team is going to have that collaboration, and I'm sure to them there's not that many Canadian season ticket holders, but like that is a great kind of partnership there where they can build on in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's cool to be fans of both leagues if you want to be.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I think that goes a long way. I think there's a feeling that CFL's not the show. It's not this. It's not that. Whatever. So if the Seahawks are gonna be, it's such a little thing, of course. But heck, maybe even an American will make the short trip up. Up to Vancouver, and it helps that the Seahawks are on the road that week. They are in Arizona, so that probably played into it as well. For Winnipeg, Drew Wolodarski back practicing. Do you think, could we see Greg Ellingson onto the field? He has practiced in full this week as well. He's marked as questionable. Nick Dembski's not going to be playing this week, and of course they're going to be sitting a lot of starters. It's not even really probably worth going through that injury report, but with the chemistry that Zach Collaros has had now with Dembski and with Schoen, you add Ellingson to the mix. And Collaros and Ellingson, they kind of go way back. They played together in Hamilton, and they had a good connection early on this season as well. They have quite the formidable aerial attack going into the playoffs as well. Ellingson's played in 7 games, 572 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season. That would be just another added piece to the puzzle in Winnipeg if he's able to play in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, and I think that if he's even close to being ready, he needs to get some game action before the playoffs, because they have the bye week next week or whenever the playoffs start. And so if you want to get that hit, like I said with Rourke, like get that hit, make sure you're comfortable. It's best to get that in this kind of meaningless game, get in there for a couple series and shake the rust off and make sure you're ready to go for that Western final.
Toronto's going to be hosting Montreal. It's a triple header on Saturday, basically preseason games here. The Argos are 3-point favorites. Trevor Harris will not be playing for the Alouettes. Instead, Dominic Davis and Davis Alexander sharing the quarterbacking duties. As for the Argos, Chad Kelly will be getting his start at quarterback here. I think he's only attempted 10 passes on the season, but he brings a popular last name with him. We'll see how he fares against Montreal. I'm wondering to see who they're going to be giving the ball to on offense. Will Daniel Adebaboye be carrying the ball? I'd like to see him getting the start there, but these teams, I mean, there is a pretty good chance Hamilton will have a thing or two to say about it, that they're going to meet in the Eastern final at BMO Field as well. And they're probably going to be giving us the most vanilla offenses possible. But hey, we want to see, especially in a player like Davis Alexander and Chad Kelly, those are some names that CFL fans could watch this week and hopefully for years to come if they have pretty good performances here and going forward for their teams. We've seen Chad Kelly, he can make an impact on short yardage. But where do you think players or teams, and I don't think they really want to focus on it, but there are some receiving races and some rushing races that still need to be figured out this week. Now, we already talked about BC Winnipeg. James Butler is, he's about 34 yards behind Kadeem Carey for the league lead in rushing. He's also played 2 more games than Kadeem Carey. So that just shows you how good of a year that Kadeem Carey has had. And since they play last, if Butler passes him by 30 yards, I'm sure the Stamps will, here, man, 3. But at the same time, you want to keep guys healthy. So that's the balancing act, I think.
Well, and I think it's going to depend, too, as if any of these guys have anything in their contracts for like a bonus that if they, finish top in the league or whatever. But it's risky because if you try to get, 50 yards, let's say Carey needs or whatever, like, yeah, you bust a big run and then at the end you blow your ACL. Like, it's just, I think these, at least I for sure know the 3 Western teams will be coached well enough that I don't think they're going to be too worried about the
staying healthy is the name of the game here. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. In the East, you have some younger coaches other than Machocha, but I think if it's me, I'm, as you said, as vanilla as possible. You're just trying to get through this game healthy, and then you can start working on what you're going to do to surprise everyone in the next game.
That's also the receiving race in the CFL is pretty close as well. Dalton Schoen has 1,357 yards. Dominic Rhymes is 11 yards behind that. And Eugene Lewis also has over 1,300 yards. But he has 91 catches there. So Gino, Rhymes, Schoen, like, don't tell me those guys don't want to lead the league in receiving, but I'm sure their coaches will have a thing or two to say about that. Ottawa is hosting the Tiger Cats. The Cats are 1-point favorites. Come on, the Red Blacks want to get a home win.
They want to, but is it going to happen?
Well, don't you think that the Cats need to figure out what's going to be, like, will Dane Evans be healthy enough? Like, are they going to need to give Schultz more reps? They kind of got to figure that out, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think if you're Hamilton, they may be the one team that are going to be trying a little bit more because they need to get in the rhythm, because we've said it before, like, Hamilton needs a little bit of respect or whatever, but a lot of people are already saying Toronto-Montreal is going to be the East final. So I think they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. They're getting into the playoffs, at the end with the Riders' help being atrocious for the past 6 games. But I think they need to show that they belong there, if that makes sense. And so they definitely have to figure out about Evans and Schultz. And Schultz, he's capable, I think. I think he's a very capable backup, and we'll have to see what happens. But I think they're going to be fired up. The one team maybe that's fired up in this whole triple header exhibition game.
Super Saturday.
I'm sure TSN loves that Montreal and Hamilton, couldn't get stuff done or whatever to make it so that there's some sort of meaning in these games.
Dane Evans, they're marking it as a thumb injury, but practicing in full. And I think the running backs are something to watch in Hamilton as well. So they're calling it a quad injury. Wes Hills didn't play last week for the Cats. Don Jackson did, but Don Jackson came in and Looks like he maybe banged up his wrist. He didn't practice Tuesday, practiced limited on Wednesday. And roster sizes in the CFL is another thing to consider. You might have to play starters for at least a little bit here. Hills has become, I think, a pretty good option for the Cats. Now, he's only gotten into 5 games, but 343 yards, 1 touchdown. So he's averaging 5.4 yards a carry. He's a big guy, 6'1", 218 pounds, not a running back that I want to attempt to tackle. The Ticats signing Mike Daly back with the Cats. I believe he did start in the Grey Cup last year, but he's played 91 games over 7 seasons for the Cats, so that does add some experience in the back end. Maybe even on special teams heading into the playoffs. For Ottawa, again, what are they going to do? They're probably going to try to win a game here for their hometown fans. It does appear that Jalen Acklin has been practicing in full. He's missed the last couple games here. William Powell not practicing. Tavon Smith, Jackson Bennett, Lorenzo Malden not practicing. So whether it's injuries or they're just they're gonna not play in this last game, we'll have to see. Fantasy is like just playing this week. It's just your crystal ball or throwing darts and seeing what happens. But RJ Harris has only got into 4 games this year, and then last week he had 7 catches for 62 yards. Maybe that's an option to put in your fantasy lineup this week. We'll see. Hopefully we get players out there making some plays at TD Place Saturday, a part of this triple header. The last part of the triple header is the Stamps 5.5-point favorites over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, over under set at 49. Congratulations to Derek Wigan of the Stampeders, who has won the or been presented with the President's Ring Award for 2022. It's something the Stamps have been doing for 55 years. It's quite the tradition that the Stampeders go. So congrats to Derek Wigan for that. Kamar Jordan back practicing, and Malik Henry was at practice as well. What interesting note is, what are they going to do with the quarterback? It does appear that Bo Levi Mitchell will be getting some action here, and it does appear that this is going to be his final appearance in red and white at McMahon Stadium playing football. So hopefully he gets the send-off he deserves from the Stampeder faithful. And hey, on that note, it might be the last time we see Fajardo wearing green and white for the Riders.
You might see, if Bo signs in Ottawa, you might see red and white.
That's true.
You better be careful.
That's true. That's true. Hey, is Charleston Hughes going to play after this? Like, are they going to get him onto the roster? I don't know what's going to happen in this one.
To be honest, I hope that they put Charleston on the roster, because like, if this is his last game, which it probably would be, it'd be fitting for it to be in McMahon, right? Yeah. Like, I think that'd be a nice thing to do, but who knows? He may want to play again next year. I to be honest, I don't think the Riders should bring him back, unless it's like for a coaching role. Like, I'm sure he'd be a decent coach. Honestly, I wouldn't dress Fajardo either if I'm the Riders. If they're dressing Fajardo, it must mean that Delagala is not in the plans for next year, because you would think that they would want to see Fine and Delagala split the reps. But maybe that DUI, they might think it might have a border issue or something. I don't know. They might have moved on from him already. But like, I think it was nice. It was good that they played Cody this last game at home here. But at the same time, like, the way that Cody's been in the media, like, he's obviously been miffed, and he feels a little scorned here. And I can't blame him, but Bo is handling it a little better than Cody is with his answers with the media and stuff. So I wouldn't bring Cody. I think it's kind of a distraction now, but Bo definitely deserves to play, hopefully, and get a very good applause from the crowd there, because he's still the winningest quarterback in CFL history, right? And he did it all there.
McMahon, there's a lot of 19 jerseys in the stands, man.
Yeah.
Charleston Hughes has had 4 sacks this year, 3 forced fumbles. He's still making plays. 38 years old. He's one of my favorite CFL players of all time. So,
how far is he back of the record?
He's got 136 sacks. So that's
it's close to 150, I think, isn't it?
I think it is.
So
if you got a team that allowed him to start, I don't doubt that he could get out there and get 9 or 10 next year, and that I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past him. I'd love to see it, but
let's put it this way. Huff moved on from him thinking he was done, right? And then he had another 3 years. Like, he's one of those players that I think COVID affected the most, because he's getting up to that age and missing that whole season there, especially when the Riders were as loaded as they were on paper. I think that definitely was really unfortunate for him.
35 sacks in green and white over 2 full seasons, and then this season. Grover Covington, 157 career sacks. So Charleston Hughes is 5th all time. He would need 4 to move into 4th, 6 to go into a tie for 3rd, and then it's another 12 and then 15 to pass Alfred Payton and Grover Covington. So, but he's in the top 5, one of the best of all time. And hey, back then they were issuing half sacks, weren't they?
Yeah. I think he's kind of in the same boat Tyrell is in with his pick'em this year. He's getting close to the top there, but he's not going to be able to.
I do appreciate that. Cody Fajardo says he's going to test free agency. What's out there for him? I don't think it's going to be a starting gig.
No, he's going to be the best backup. I'm pretty sure you could probably say that. Yeah,
good person. Insurance policy. Yeah.
If there's a team that wants to use him for like a short yardage package or something, like, he'll thrive in that, I think. It's going to be an ego check with him, right? Like, he goes from being a starter. I just don't know if
back to the role that he was in before.
Right. And like, I know he has aspirations of doing broadcasting, I think, with his alma mater down in the States. I think I've read that I think he actually mentioned that on his podcast he had with Harker. I think that's what he kind of wants to do when he retires, is go into broadcasting. So I don't know. What do you pay a backup like Cody to do short yardage and stuff like is he going to make $200,000? Like, I don't know, like, I don't really know what the contracts for backup quarterbacks are. So we'll have to see. He's got a young kid and young family, and he's got to do what's best for him.
Man, some magical moments with him.
Jesus sprinkles.
Yeah, couldn't quite get to the Grey Cup, and then now how short memories that Rider Nation has.
Like, I had that rant on Twitter, but the Riders treated him like, in the end here, like, yes, he wasn't playing as he was, but they didn't protect him with an O-line. He saw ghosts. It's just, I don't blame him for being mad. I think Craig Dickinson handled this terribly. If they wanted to do this move, it should have been 6 games ago. Like, when there was still chance to see if Fine or Dolegala had anything, or you trade for Vernon Adams. Like, I just, this whole season was just a colossal waste of time for Rider fans. And it's so frustrating.
This episode of Two and Out brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Life as a business owner can be hectic, to say the least, and Alberta Blue Cross understands that. They offer flexible health, dental, life, and disability coverage for your employees, and even better, you can let your staff enroll and manage their coverage at any time and on any device. So that makes life easier for them and for you. You've got this when it comes to group coverage for your small business, and Alberta Blue Cross has got your back. To learn more and explore your options, head to ab.bluecross.ca. Who are you picking to win the games this week? I am going to roll with Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, Calgary. I think.
Well, we got the book. It's so hard to pick. We got the bookends though, because I'm picking Winnipeg and Calgary. I think Montreal is going to beat Toronto. I don't know why, but I think Montreal is going to beat Toronto, and I think
anything against you.
It's in Ottawa, so again, until I'm proven wrong, Ottawa loses at home. So
I'm looking at a fantasy lineup, but I probably won't keep it. Stamps defense, Brendan O'Leary Orange from Winnipeg, Gino Lewis, Kamar Jordan, who knows, Jackson Bennett, but he hasn't been practicing, so I got to find a running back there. I put Dedrick Mills from Calgary. He might be the only one that stays in my lineup, and I currently have Bo Levi Mitchell, but I might try to put Chad Kelly in there just to see what happens. Or Caleb Evans. You don't know how many rushing touchdowns he's going to add to his number this week for the Red Blacks.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. I went with Drew Brown. For my running backs, I got Johnny Augustine, because I think they're going to sit Oliveira maybe and see what he can do. I got Jeshua Antwi. Again, who knows? Jake Winicky, Rasheed Bailey. My flex is Jamal Morrow because I had so much money left over. And then the Calgary defense.
There you go. That's week 21 of the CFL season. And then we wrap up this final week, wrap up the season on Monday, and then all of a sudden, it's playoffs.
Is Dickinson fired on Monday?
Well, it'd be interesting to note, when is that? They have to do it. It's either Monday when the changes come, or after the Grey Cup, right?
Yeah, so, I can't remember if it's just the week of the Grey Cup that they can't do anything.
I think so.
I think playoffs. I can't remember, but we'll see. It's going to be a heck of an offseason for Rider fans. Let's just say that.
Hey, we made some sort of show for this final season or final week of the 2022 season. You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out on your favorite podcatcher. And if you want to look at our mugs, you can go on YouTube and you can ring the bell, get notified every single time an episode comes out. Click like on there, and hey, leave a comment on there as well. Talk to you on Monday, wrapping up week 21.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.